Here's the answer to the question in the title. The most valuable thing you can give your grandchildren, it can't be put in a bank account. And I say that as someone who has spent 30 years in finance. Now, before you think I'm dodging the money question, I am not. We're going to run the actual numbers today. Gift tax limits, 529 rules, the timing problem with inheritance that almost nobody is willing to talk about. But here's what I want you to stay for, because this is the part that changed how I think about everything. In fact, this may be one of the most important videos I've ever done. There's a calculation most grandparents never run. It has nothing to do with dollars. And when you see it, you will not be able to unsee it. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to see your retirement and your grandchildren completely differently. Let me give a quick context on who I am, because I think it matters for what I'm about to tell you. I spent most of my career in finance. I rose to the CEO of a venture-backed company, and the stock went to zero. I lived the financial fear that I know a lot of you feel right now. I know what it feels like to look at a retirement that doesn't add up and wonder what comes next. I also left a corporate life to care for my father when he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And that season, watching someone I love lose himself, that changed what I think money is actually for. I'm not a credentialed financial advisor. I'm not going to pretend to be one. What I am is someone who has been on both sides of this equation, who built it, lost it, rebuilt it, and figured out what actually matters on the other side. That's what Brain Flash is, and that's why I think this conversation is absolutely worth having. So let's talk money, because I promise you real numbers, and I meant it. First, the annual gift tax exclusion in 2026, you can give any individual up to $19,000 per year without triggering the gift tax, and that is per person. So let's say you have 2 grandchildren, that's $38,000 a year you can give completely tax-free. Now, most grandparents, they don't know that number even exists, and most of the ones who do know it never come close to it. Guess what? Me too. Second, the 529. If you want to help with college or education, a 529 account is one of the most powerful tools available to grandparents. You can superfund it. Now, what does that mean? It means you can contribute 5 years worth of annual exclusions in a single year. That's $95,000 in one contribution right now. That grows tax-free for education. A $95,000 contribution today, let's go conservative, growing at 7%, becomes roughly over $180,000 by the time a 10-year-old grandchild reaches college. That is a meaningful gift. And third, this is the one nobody wants to talk about, the inheritance timing problem. Here's a number that stopped me absolutely cold when I first saw it. Most Americans, they don't receive an inheritance until their mid-50s. All right, for the sake of this video, let's call it 57. 57. Your grandchild does not need money at 57. They need it at 24 when they're trying to start a business, put a down payment on a house, or get through a crisis without going into debt. The most powerful financial gift you can give a grandchild is not what you leave them, it's what you give them when it can actually change the absolute trajectory of their life. A small amount of money at the right moment, at 22, 25, is worth 10 times the same amount at 57. So if you're sitting on assets that you plan to leave your grandchildren someday, I want you to ask yourself, is there a version of this that helps them right now? Okay, I promise you a different way of thinking about this. Here it is. Let me ask you a question. How old is your youngest grandchild right now? Do you have that number? I want you to hold that number in your head. Now, how old will they be when they're 16? When they have a driver's license, a social life, and approximately zero interest in hanging out with grandparents? That gap, the years between right now and 16, that is your window. Those are the summers, the weekends, the ordinary Tuesday afternoon that doesn't feel like anything special, but they're actually everything. Research on grandparent-grandchild relationships is remarkably consistent on one thing. The closeness of that bond in adulthood is almost entirely determined by the time invested before that grandchild turns 16. The grandparent who waits, who assumes the relationship will build itself, often finds that when that grandchild is 30 and facing a real crisis, they don't call. And it's not because they don't love their grandparent. It's because they don't really even know them. Here's the brutal truth about that window. It's not unlimited. Because the question is not just how old your grandchild is. The question is, how many of those years can you be actively, physically present for? This is where it gets real. And that's where your health becomes a financial decision. I want to walk you through what I call the Grandparent Presence Calculation. It takes about 30 seconds, and I think it's going to be the most important math that you will do this year. Step one, how old is your grandchild? Let's say 8. Step two, how many summers do you have before they are independent? And quite frankly, largely unavailable. Roughly 8. 8 summers. Step three, of those 8 summers, how many are you physically capable of being actively present for? Not watching from a chair, not nursing a bad knee or a breathing problem, actually present, hiking, swimming, building something, just showing up. For a healthy 65-year-old, the honest answer might be all 8. For someone who has let their health slide, that answer may be 4 or 5. That difference, 3 or 4 summers, it's not a small thing. Do the math. That's a 30 or 40% amount of that entire window. Now, here is where that connects back to money and why I think about retirement the way that I do. Financial stress, it steals your ability to be present. When you're worried about whether your money will last, when every month is a calculation, you're not fully there, even when you're in the same room. And poor health, that steals your presence in an even more literal way. So when I talk about building a retirement that works on a modest income, when I talk about the habits that protect your health, I'm not just talking about you. I'm talking about those 8 summers. I'm talking about the grandchild who is 8 years old right now, who has no idea that the choices you make this year will shape what they remember about you for the rest of their life. So let me bring you back to something practical, because I never want you to leave with a problem and no path forward. Here's what I believe a grandparent in or near retirement, what you should actually focus on, and in this order of priority. Number 1, get your retirement income stable, not perfect, stable. You don't need $1 million. You need a retirement that is not a constant source of anxiety, because anxiety is incompatible with presence. On this channel, I've talked about how people are building real retirement incomes on $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 a month. That work matters. Do the work. Number 2, protect your health span with the same seriousness you give your finances. Your health span, the years you're physically vital, not just alive. It's a depreciating asset. Every year you do not invest in it, you lose a little more of it, and you can never get it back. Walk, lift, sleep. This is not optional if you want to be present. Number 3, start the relationship now. Do not wait for a milestone. Do not wait until you have more money or more time or until things slow down. The relationship that will matter, the one your grandchild will call on at 30, is built in the ordinary moments. Regular video calls, showing up for the small things, teaching something you know, being a consistent, curious, non-judgmental presence in their life. And number 4, when you can give money, do it when it counts. Not at 57, now, just a little, but do so thoughtfully at the moments that matter. That is the financial gift that actually changes a life. I want to leave you with this. The question that started this video was, how much money should you give your grandchildren? And the honest answer is, it depends on what you have. And it's less important than when you give it and how you show up. But the deeper answer, the one I hope is what you take away from this video, is the most valuable thing you can give your grandchildren is a grandparent who showed up, who was financially stable enough to be present, who was physically vital enough to be active, who built the relationship before the crisis. So they were somebody worth calling when the crisis came. That's what generational wealth is, not the number in the estate. It's the relationship that outlasts it. Your most important work, it may still be ahead of you. Look, if this video helps you think about retirement and your grandchildren a little differently, would you subscribe? But would you also pass this on to somebody else so we get this message out? This is what we do here every week. I'll see you in the next one.